Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Doc Watkins Show. I'm your host, Doc Watkins, with more special requests submitted by you, our viewers. We've got an exciting show ahead tonight with special guests, trumpeter Curtis Calderon of the Four Freshmen and Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar with his deputy Brandon Rivas. We're going to be getting to the music in just a moment, but first we turn to the Jazz Texas news. A San Antonio man was recently caught attempting to make a mask out of a tortilla. The suspect was also caught selling hand sanitizer made from a bottle of Cholula hot sauce. A recent study predicts the population boom over the next decade could cause an increase of over 1 billion people on planet Earth, which means jazz musicians will sell an average of at least 3 more CDs. And Sports Illustrated has announced that its annual swimsuit issue will be delayed until the summer. Meanwhile, the Jazz Texas swimsuit issue will be released right on schedule. And as if 2020 weren't odd enough, recent reports suggest that Elvis is still alive. Police in Lodi, California are on the lookout for a bloated man wearing a white sequin jumpsuit doing karate moves, eating a peanut butter fried banana sandwich, and claiming to be Michael Jackson's father-in-law. And finally, over 20 million additional Americans have applied for unemployment benefits this week, which almost equals the amount of money the Spurs are still paying Kawhi Leonard. And now to the music. Our first special request, this is one of my favorite tunes, and this one was requested by Zane for his lovely wife, Mary Colette. It's a beautiful tune called Someday My Prince Will Come. This song comes from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was Disney's first full-length feature film, long, long time ago, and so you may know this tune. It was popularized in the jazz world by the great Bill Evans in the 1950s, and so Zane, Mary Colette, this one goes out to you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Here goes. That was Someday My Prince Will Come for Zane and his wife, Mary Colette. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, thanks for tuning in to the Doc Watkins Show. We're live here at Jazz Texas every Tuesday and Friday night at 8 o'clock Texas time. Thank you for tuning in. This next song, this is a classic song from the 1950s written by the great Dave Brubeck, and this one goes out from Dave to his wife Charlotte on their anniversary. Happy anniversary, you guys. After 12 years of marriage, Dave has requested to take 5... Dave has requested the song. Dave has requested the song Take 5. Also, Dave would like a divorce. This one goes out to you guys. Thanks for the request, and happy anniversary. That's Take 5 by Dave Brubeck. Thank you all so much for the special request. Thank you for tuning in here at Jazz Texas this evening. My name is Doc Watkins. I want to give a big shout out to my man over there, Chris Zients with Wizard Broadcasts. He's doing all the technical work and all the back end of doing this show, and he's been doing a terrific job. Once again, his name is Chris Zients, and he's with Wizard Broadcasting. Give him lots of love here on Facebook. Make sure and comment, say thank you, Chris, and also tell us where you're from, and tell us that you're with us tonight. We would love to hear from you. So welcome, everybody. All right, once again, that was Take 5. That went out to Dave and Charlotte, and we're going to have a special guest up here in just a minute, but one more request. This is for a Sinatra tune, and this one goes out to Frank Christ. Thank you so much for the request, Frank. This is a tune called Summerwind, as sung by the great Frank Sinatra. It was featured in the movie The Pope of Greenwich Village, which incidentally was a lot less popular than its sequel, The Rabbi of College Station. Here's the summer wind. Here goes. Summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, then we strolled that golden sand. Two sweethearts and the summer wind. Like painted kites, those days and nights went flying by. The world was new beneath the blue umbrella sky. Then softer than a piper man, one day it called to you. I lost you to that summer wind. The winter winds, they have come and gone. Still the days, those lonely days, go on and on. And guess who sighs his lullabies through nights that never end? My fickle friend, the summer wind. Summer wind, the warm summer wind. That's the Summerwind. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. Well, our first special guest this evening is a local trumpeter who is a member of the Four Freshmen for nearly 2 decades. The Four Freshmen also happens to be the number of incoming students at USC whose parents didn't pay the $300,000 to get them admitted. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, would you please welcome the great Curtis Calderon. Hey, Curtis.
Hey, how you doing, Brent?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
You look terrific.
I know. Thanks, man.
What's happening?
Not a lot, man. Just trying to stay busy during this time, as you know, and doing what we can around here.
Yeah.
How's the club going? It looks pretty busy.
The club's packed, man. We got the same amount of seats as we ever did, and that's really all that matters. So what are you doing to stay busy during these times?
I play a lot of Minecraft with my son.
Yeah.
And build some forts all around the house. Every room has a fort everywhere.
Is Minecraft a game that you can win?
Yeah, kind of. Like, we fight on there a lot, and he wins every time.
So you can win. I just feel like I see an ongoing game of Minecraft for the last 10 years at my house, and I can't tell that anybody's ever actually. I feel like it's the same game that they started a long time ago. They still have not built a jazz club yet, which makes me mad.
Not a Jazz Texas 2 with the big blocks and everything?
Not yet. Hopefully coming soon. So Curtis, you were with the Four Freshmen for a long time. You were on the road. You did thousands of gigs on the road and toured and played all the great jazz clubs and many of the great theaters all around the world. You got off the road a couple years ago to spend time with your family. You and your wife Gail had kids and started a family, and now you're chilling and playing Minecraft. But what about? I'm curious. I want you to tell everybody about your woodworking business, because you've been making cases for trumpets and clarinets. And how's that going?
It's going pretty good. You make cases.
Can you make a piano case for me?
I did. Financing did not go through. Do you have someone to co-sign?
You didn't. I told you not to check my credit. That never goes well. And you should have just taken my word for it.
I'm a terrible guest. I don't know what to say. I don't like talking about myself or what I do for some reason. But the cases are going well, and the woodworking is great. Like, every time I'm working out in the front, I kind of work just out of my garage. Some other little job comes in. Somebody wants me to build a bench or wants me to build a little. There's some other little house thing that I just recently got a order, I guess, from. It's just a custom. They show me a picture, and then I'm like, okay, I'll build it. Here's how much it'll cost. So that's staying pretty busy.
Well, people are asking right now, how can we support the local music scene? What can we do? We can't just go to their gigs. We can buy the CDs. We can buy T-shirts. I know musicians are doing live streams, and they're doing T-shirt sales and everything. But do you have a backlog right now with your case making? If people want to support you, can they get a case for their cat or anything like that?
They can get a case for their cat. I make special ones. I put some holes in it and food, and then you seal it up, and they should be fine for at least 6 weeks.
Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It's so good. No, I love cats. I miss my cat. Oh,
you're a cool cat, Curtis. You're such a cool cat. Would you play some trumpet for us?
Sure.
I got lots of emails saying, please don't bring Curtis Calderon on without the trumpet. If he comes on without the trumpet, we're gonna take him out in handcuffs. Which I don't know how they do, because we're not even in the same room together, but that's what they said.
It's true. Yeah. All right. Is there something you want to hear? Because
just play something soulful, man. Just whatever you feel.
I don't know how to play soulful, but I will play. Let's do. You want me to play like a whole tune, or just like part of one?
Whatever you think, man.
All right. How about My Funny Valentine? That one, everyone knows it. Everyone loves it. Is your sound guy ready? Because the trumpet is going to be so loud.
We ready for this, Chris? Crazy. All right, incoming. Here we go.
All right. I'll do a little intro.
Thank you, Curtis. That was special.
It was.
Everybody, that's Curtis Calderon on the trumpet. You can find Curtis on Facebook and on Instagram. Make sure and follow him and send him a message. Send him lots of love. Stay in touch with what he's doing. We hope to have Curtis back here at the club really, really, really soon, just as soon as we can. And Curtis, it's been a while since I've heard you play, and I miss it. So I can't wait till we can get back together again.
Well, I mean, I say this is coming out soon, but it could be another year. There's probably 20 tracks in the can right now that are just ready to be mastered, and another maybe 15 I'm working on right now. So hopefully if I can just let the music be the music instead of trying to make everything perfect, you know, in the next maybe 2 months, we can release at least one CD's worth of music. A lot of the stuff we play at your club, a lot of the originals, and yeah, I'll put a sample of it maybe. If people can get onto my Facebook page, I don't even know what it is, like the music page, but search my name and trumpet and you'll find it, and just like it. And then maybe a little bit later this week, I'll put a sample of what we're going to release within the next decade, I would say.
I think you should release it soon, Curtis. I have a feeling if you put out a CD, a lot of people will buy it. And folks online on Facebook, please comment. If you would buy Curtis's CD, comment so we can get a lot of comments going, and then we've got Curtis cornered and pinned that way. Then he has no choice but to get the CD out at least in the next 7 years, because we don't know that it will take him 10 years if you let it, you know.
It's tough, like, you know, because I sorry to extend this interview now, you know, some people say, oh, well, you're a perfectionist. And it's hard because when you're a perfectionist and you're not very good at what you do sometimes, it's like this terrible loop.
I think there's another word for that. But that's not you, Curtis. You're a professional. So love you, man. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody go check Curtis out. Buy his CD. Pre-order his CD. We'll see you around, man.
All right. Thank you, Brent.
All right. See you, Curtis.
Bye-bye.
That's Curtis Calderon, everybody. All right. We have another special guest coming up in just a minute. But before that, we have a couple more special requests that I'm going to play. This next tune goes out by special request to Daisy and to Phoenix and Gary. It's a beautiful jazz standard from long ago called Stardust. And it was composed by the great Hoagy Carmichael. Of course, Hoagy was not his real name. His given name was Submarine Sandwich. This is Stardust. Stardust by the great Hoagie Carmichael. Thank you. All right. Our next special request goes out to Dan Cruz, also requested by Suzanne. Dan and Suzanne, thank you so much for the request. This is a beautiful tune from long ago called Moonglow. And this one was recorded by the Benny Goodman Orchestra a long time ago, one of my favorite recordings of all time. So this one goes out to you, y'all. This is Moonglow. special request. That was Moonglow. Thank you to Dan and also to Suzanne for the request. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. Our next special guest rose to prominence in the late 1990s when he successfully color-coded the San Antonio map with all the top trick-or-treating spots during the 1998 Halloween season. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, would you please welcome to the microphone Sheriff Javier Salazar.
I did do that. Thank you.
You did do that.
Yes.
Sheriff, welcome to the show. I'm so glad. You know, this show is really beneath you. But Sheriff,
Thanks, you flatter me.
I had to ask. Bob Marley once wrote, "I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy." Is that true, Sheriff?
I take exception to that. He must have been talking about a different sheriff, but thankfully that's never happened to me.
That's not a true statement. So, Sheriff, I had to know, in all seriousness, in all honesty, this is a serious question. You know, when I think about the sheriff of Bexar County, I mean, that's a big role that you have to fill. And you wake up in the morning, every morning, you get out of bed, you're brushing your teeth in the bathroom, you look in the mirror, and you're like, that guy right there is the sheriff. I mean, how does that feel?
It's a lot to take in sometimes, and you know, I grew up at the SAPD. That's where I did most of my career. I grew up as a young patrolman all the way on up. And you know, for the last couple of years with the SAPD, I was always right there at McManus's right hand. And so when things would hit the fan, so to speak, I'd look at him and go, "Well, boss, what are you gonna do?" And now I got nobody to turn to and say, "Boss, what are you gonna do?" I'm it. And so yeah, the buck stops with me. So yeah, sometimes it does. Wow, I am the sheriff of one of the largest counties in the country. That's a lot to take in. But you know what? I'm up to the challenge, man.
Do you ever put on your sunglasses when you're in the car and play Bad to the Bone?
I might. Yeah.
Next question: How many cases have you solved personally with Walker, Texas Ranger?
Not nearly as many. Where do you get these questions?
Riders.
Longmire. I'm more of a Longmire guy, though.
Is that right?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, he's a sheriff.
Well, what would you like to say to everybody right now? I mean, we're so in awe of our law enforcement, and you guys are so special and so wonderful, and you risk your lives every day for us, and you have such big shoes to fill, such a huge role. You know, what's a great message for everybody?
Just that, look, everybody needs to know that your first responders right now, in spite of what we're seeing, all the craziness going on in the country right now, first responders are just getting it done every day. Put on their boots, you know, strapping on that vest and going out and getting it done on a daily basis in spite of everything. So, I mean, yeah, please don't think it's not heard, it's not appreciated when you walk up to a deputy or an officer or a firefighter or even a nurse or a doctor and say thank you for your service, or a military person. It is appreciated, it is heard, and absolutely, they deserve every last bit of our admiration, our adoration as a public. So please make it a point to go up and thank your first responders and your military folks every chance you get.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have your deputy here with us who's going to come up in just a few moments.
I do. Brandon Boom Boom Rivas.
Brandon Boom Boom Rivas,
yes.
Who I met playing gigs on San Pedro at Stefania's long time ago, almost 15 years ago.
Mercy.
He was a jazz musician from San Antonio. He went to New Orleans. He came back after Katrina.
Yeah.
We started working together. Next thing I know, he's like the sheriff's deputy. And I mean, that's a pretty big leap, because you can't get any lower on the totem pole than playing in the Doc Watkins Orchestra. So is he good? Does he make a good deputy? As far as deputies go, he's a great bass player.
No, he's great. He's great. He's fun to be around. He handles a lot of our video stuff at the sheriff's office. You know, he's one of our. He helped me start the mariachi group for the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, and just our recently our fledgling pipe and drum. He's our bass drummer for the pipe and drum corps.
I've seen those pictures. I've seen him in the kilt and the whole thing.
You know, he came into the office in a kilt the other day, and I thought, Brandon, you know, I don't even like you in pants, much less in a kilt, dude. Like, it's like, you make me uncomfortable. No, but he does it. It suits him, and he does really well with the pipe and drum. I mean, just anything musically, this guy, you know, he's just cut out for that.
Well, and the music is a big part of your friendship. I mean, you're a big music fan, a big jazz fan.
I grew up in show business, actually, man.
Is that right?
Yeah, my dad.
I grew up in law. I was actually a sheriff as a teenager, and then I moved into the to the jazz part.
No, my dad growing up was a musician and a DJ, and so I was always out at gigs with him on weekend nights, not on school nights or anything like that. But I remember being out when he'd be playing, and we'd have to wait till after the show was over so he could get paid. Sometimes he didn't get paid at all, but the family was there with him every step of the way. And so I looked at your boy over here a little while ago, and I thought, man, that kid probably goes through is going to have some of the same memories that I have, the fond memories of growing up with Dad and going to gigs and things of that nature with him. So it is. I grew up in that, and so this every time I've come to Jazz Texas, it's always such a cool scene. My favorite thing that you all do is when you bring up the young lady and y'all do the Western swing sets.
Yeah,
that is just awesome stuff, man. I'm a country fan, among other things, yeah. But I really love to hear it when y'all do the Western swing stuff.
Do you find that people drive more alert when they're all hopped up on jazz, or do they just think they do?
Yes. I don't know how to answer that question, Doc. I really don't.
Are you packing heat right now?
I am packing heat. I'm always packing heat. Yeah. Always, the well-dressed sheriff is always packing heat.
Sheriff, you're wonderful to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
A terrific cat, and I really appreciate you. And we've had our laughs and everything, but I do want to, one final question, if you don't mind. I mean,
yes, sir.
You're in law enforcement, and your whole career is dedicated to law enforcement and to fighting crime and fighting crime in a big way. And these are. It's such an interesting time right now, and this is kind of a difficult question to ask, but I'd like to talk about the Murder Hornets. Is that more of like a shooting or a stabbing incident here in San Antonio?
Riveting stuff. They haven't hit San Antonio yet, but I'm waiting. We've certainly got all of our intelligence folks are out working this.
Are we building like special cells for them? Because I think a normal hornet could fly right out the bars.
Well, they're tiny cells. Yeah. They're tiny cells, and yes.
What kind of background checks are we doing in advance for them? And is it possible that they could sort of that could spread to other species? That fire ants could become arson ants. For
right.
Exactly.
Is that a thing? Yeah, you're going to do this all night, aren't you?
Well, finally, is it possible? I'm sorry. Is it possible for a murder hornet's charge to be downgraded to an involuntary manslaughter?
It'd be a manslaughter hornet, exactly.
Yeah,
is what it.
Sheriff, you're the best. Sheriff Javier Salazar, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Doc Watkins, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about Sheriff's Deputy Brandon Rivas earlier, who's a personal friend of mine. We go back many, many years, and we're going to bring him up to play some bass. He brought his upright bass here, and we're going to play a couple tunes together. Brandon, come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff's Deputy Brandon Rivas on the upright bass. And Brandon and I, how you doing, Brandon?
How you doing, Doc? Good to see you, bud.
Good to see you. Brandon and I.
Sure. What a guy, huh?
What a guy. The sheriff. Brandon and I are going to play a special request to some very, very special people. This goes out to Tom Blair and Barbara Blair in Uvalde, Texas, and we'd like to play an Oscar Peterson tune called D&E, which is one of my favorite blues numbers, and we're going to feature Brandon Rivas over there on the bass. So here goes. That's Brandon Rivas on the bass, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon Rivas on the bass. That's D and E. That goes out to Tom and Barbara Blair in Uvalde. Thank you very much, Brandon, for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I got a special request. I'm gonna sing for you now. This one goes out to some very, very good friends, Bob and Rita Augsburger. This is a beautiful tune called the Texas River Song that was written a long time ago, back in the 1800s, and no one actually knows who wrote this song. It was first recorded by Townes Van Zandt, and it's a wonderful, wonderful tune. And Bob and Rita, thank you so much for the request. A little backstory on this song. It was about two lovers who travel all the way across Texas and cross all the various rivers and everything, and it's a wonderful love song. Unfortunately, it is a sad love song, as at the end of the song you find that if you listen carefully to the words, one of the lovers drowns in the quicksand of the Brazos River. And I was talking to Sheriff, and he was saying that these days, thankfully, the other lover could plead self-defense and probably get off. So, isn't that right, Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the Texas River Song to Bob and Rita Augsburger. Thank you all so much. We crossed the wild Pecos, we forded the Nueces, we swum the Guadalupe and we traveled the Brazos. The Red River runs rusty, Wichita clear, but down by the Brazos I courted my dear, singing lend me your hand, lend me your hand, lend me your hand. There's many a river that waters the land, where the fair Angelina runs glassy and gliding, the crooked Colorado runs weaving and winding, the slow San Antonio courses the plains, but I never will walk by the Brazos again, singing lend me your hand, lend me your hand, lend me your hand. There's many a river that waters the land. Well, she kissed me and she hugged me and called me her dandy. The Trinity's muddy, the Brazos quicksandy. She kissed me and she hugged me and called me her own. But down by the Brazos she left me alone, singing lend me your hand, lend me your hand, lend me your hand. There's many a river that waters the land. Well, the girls of Little River, they're plump and they're pretty. The Sabine and the Sulphur hold beauties of many. The banks of the Neches, with girls by the score. But down by the Brazos I'll wander no more, singing lend me your hand, lend me your hand, lend me your hand. There's many a river that waters the land, singing lend me your hand, lend me your hand, lend me your hand. There's many Texas River Song. Thank you very much, everybody. We got time for just one more number before we say goodnight for the evening. I want to remind you we are live here every Friday and Tuesday and Friday night at 8 o'clock at Jazz Texas. Make sure and tune in this Friday night. Tell all your friends at 8 p.m. here at Jazz Texas. We'll be live streaming, and we have special guest Vanessa Del Fierro from Mariachi Las Coronelas, which is one of my favorite all-time mariachi groups. Just a wonderful, wonderful vocalist and violinist, and she's got a terrific group. And she'll be here singing some songs with me on Friday. And we're also going to tune in with Sammy Miller, Grammy-winning drummer from Los Angeles, California. Sammy Miller and the congregation. He'll be live with us on Zoom Friday night. So make sure and tune in. We're going to do one more tune for you all. This is called Sweet Georgia Brown. And ladies and gentlemen, once more, please welcome up to the stage Mr. Brandon Rivas on the bass. Come on up, Brandon. Brandon Boom Boom Rivas. Rivas on the bass, Sheriff Salazar, Curtis Calderon. My name is Doc Watkins. Once again, how about a hand for Chris Science and Wizard Broadcasting. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all Friday night at 8 o'clock. Thank you so much. We love you. Good night.